What's up, QAA listeners?
The fun games have begun.
I found a way to connect to the internet. I'm sorry, boy. Welcome, listener, to Premium Chapter 177 of the QAnon Anonymous podcast, The Poll is Dead episode. As always, we are your hosts, Jake Rockatansky,
Annie Kelly,
Liv Agar,
and Travis View.
Welcome, gracious listener. It's your UK correspondent, Annie Kelly, speaking. Last time I was talking to you directly, it was about the ignoble coward Paul Joseph Watson, and I subjected you to listening to several of his vile rants on race, feminism, and abortion. Today, by way of an apology, we're going to be discussing a different Paul, a more famous Paul, and I'd go as far to say a much better Paul.
I thought this was a follow-up to the last episode. I'm very sad now.
Yeah. Sorry, Liv. Your dreams didn't come true on this one.
I'm speaking, of course, of Paul McCartney, the legendary British pop star and former Beatle who recently performed on the main stage of Glastonbury Festival at the mighty age of 80 years old. Or did he? This latest episode, in what QAA fans are calling the Summer of Paul, explores a conspiracy theory cooked up in the late 1960s by groovy young hippies and late-night DJs that claimed the real Paul McCartney had been tragically killed in a car crash in November 1966. His surviving bandmates, John, George and Ringo, at the very peak of their fame, decided to replace their friend with an imposter, a humble orphan named William Campbell, who had won a Paul McCartney look-alike contest. If all of that sounds just a little unbelievable to you, it may reassure you to learn that the Beatles, ever the mischievous pranksters, left a significant number of clues in their lyrics, album covers, and even the reverse vinyl sides of their songs.
Well, yeah, you gotta leave clues,
Yeah, you can't just switch out the most famous man in the world and not leave some little breadcrumbs.
Yeah, exactly. Look, if you're trying to pull one over on society at large and convince them that one of your bandmates didn't die horribly and that he's been with you all along, what you gotta do is leave a trail of clues for people to find out you've been lying to them. This is how it's done.
The real question is, what is the explanation for the existence of these clues in the first place? Because I know, like, lots of QAnon people, they believe that they're part of a satanic cabal, and they can tell this through the secret hand signals and stuff. It's like they say, well, they have to signal that they're part of this cabal for some reason. It's part of being in the satanic club. And other people, like, for example, I know people who are into sort of Justin Bieber conspiracy theories. They're like, he's trying to tell us about what's really going on in the sicko Hollywood elites, but he can't just blurt it out loud because they'll come for him. And so he's leaving clues for us to figure it out. So is it that the rest of the Beatles were like trying to tell their fans what really happened to Paul, and their evil record label or something wouldn't let them know?
Yeah, no, it's a really good question, and there are like several different answers that Paul is Dead believers will give you. One of them is a bit like the Justin Bieber one. They'll say, their record company, because their Beatles were making so much money, forced them to replace their friend, and this was the only kind of way they could sort of tell the truth, was through these kind of cryptic clues.
Right, I see.
Another one is just, that they are kind of pranksters. They're sort of like known, particularly John was known for kind of this very dry wit, and that this was kind of just like all part of the fun for them. And there's a slightly more obscure one, which we'll go into a little in the episode, which says that Paul being replaced was all part of this kind of new religion that the Beatles were going to create together.
I see. I don't know. I think the first one probably makes the most sense to me. That their friend died in a car accident. They're like, we can't go on. But Paul, he was the heart and soul of the band. We don't want to make music anymore, Ringo.
You have been listening to a sample of a premium episode of QAnon Anonymous.
We don't run any advertising on the show, and we'd like to keep it that way.
For $5 a month, you'll get access to this episode, a new one each week, and our entire library of premium episodes.
So head on over to patreon.com/QAnon Anonymous and subscribe.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I love you.
Jake loves you.